See that lone pine up on that hill over there? What are we actually doing right now? The kids are just wild out there. They're wild. But they're having a good time, you know? They're having a good time. This is Untamed Unbroken, the Adventurer's Guide, and I'm your host, Blake Bredesen. Welcome back to Untamed Unbroken. Today we're doing a little FOQ, frequent outdoor questions. Question number 1. A little bit of a loaded question. What are the best times and conditions for hunting deer? Kind of break it down into a few things. Time of day, we'll talk about that. Weather conditions, seasonal factors, and moon phases. All in all, the best time to hunt is when you can hunt. Not all of us have the option to hunt anytime, whenever we want. Oftentimes, it just means I hunt when I can. And so I don't really take into consideration these things too much because time is limited for me. But if it does come to things, if I do get picky about things and have that luxury, time of day, I'm usually hunting early morning in general or late afternoon, evening. These are those times, especially in the early season, where the deer are most active. They're moving to feeding areas at dawn and dusk. So a lot of times they're bedded down during the day, in the evening, late afternoon, evening. Maybe they're starting to get up and they're moving to a food source, water source. And they're doing that kind of all night. And then in the early morning, they're heading back to those bedding areas, potentially still feeding a little bit in that early morning light. So generally in the early season, I'm not really hunting during the middle of the day as much, but that changes when it comes to the rut. Let's talk weather conditions though first. Cool, clear days. Deer tend to move more during those cool and clear days, especially after a period of warm. So typically in October, if it's cooling down from 80s to 70s in September, that doesn't matter as much. But if it's cooling down from 50s, 60s, 50s, and then all of a sudden there's this cold front and there's going to be highs in the upper 30s and 40s, that can get deer moving, especially in October when we're getting closer to the rut. Overcast days, cloudy days, sure, they can be more productive. They might feel more secure moving during those daylight hours without that sun shining on them. They're not standing out as much. They're blending in much better and not sticking out. Same thing with you while hunting on a cloudy day. You're going to blend in much better when that sun's not hitting you and reflecting off of little areas of skin that are, or if your clothing is a little shiny, you're better off on those overcast days for your own benefit. Rain, snow, light rain can be beneficial. It might dampen the noise a little bit. Things aren't as crunchy. Allows you to move more quietly through the woods. Heavy rain, one, you're probably going to get soaked. Two, the deer are likely bedding down during those heavy, heavy rains as well. So snow is nice because, again, if it's a soft snow, you can move pretty quiet through it. If you put on some snow camo, you blend in really well, extremely well. So if you're hunting that later season when there is snow, throwing on some snow camo, you can just kind of move, still hunt, move slowly through the woods, and you could come across some good opportunities there. Now, when it comes to seasonal factors like pre-rut and the rut, these rut periods, they're kind of the prime times for hunting. This is where I don't care about time of day as much. Do I still want to be out in the early morning hours and the evening hours? Yes, but I also want to be out all day, ideally, because these bucks are going to be moving no matter what, and moving does around. Does are going to be moving. Everything's more active during this time, and time of day doesn't matter as much. Weather conditions don't matter as much. So post-rut, deer are often focused on feeding again, regaining energy, the bucks especially, right? And that makes food sources kind of those key hunting spots. post rut. When it comes to moon phases, this one's talked about a lot. Full moon, deer may be more active at night during a full moon, which can reduce daytime movement. This is generalizations. This is not always true. But if you want to stack the cards in your favor, hunt during a new moon, or when there is no moon, no light at night. Deer are more likely to be a little more active during daylight hours around that new moon phase. And so when things line up, like weather conditions, a cold front coming in, it's going to be a new moon, and it's like pre-rut or rut. It's like those three things lining up together. End of October, beginning of November, if you're in the Midwest, that's the time to be out in the woods. Question number 2. What clothing do you like to wear while hunting? For me, pants, lightweight pants, like a nylon spandexy type of pant. I don't actually own any like actual, I take that back. I do have a pair of hunting pants, but a lot of times I just wear like my hiking outdoor type pants that are super lightweight. Maybe they're green or brown in color, non-camo. I do have some camo pants too. When it's really hot, I don't like wearing those because they're a little bit warmer. And then I'll just throw on, I have some First Light merino wool, lightweight, just trying to keep it really light and airy. And then I always I have a scent lock kind of hat / face mask, like a ball cap almost. It's got a little visor, and I'm always wearing that to cover up the face. If it's really sunny, maybe I'll put some eye black or some face paint around those, kind of on the face and the ears to reduce shine. If it's really sunny, for sure I'm wearing gloves. And when you do wear gloves, and you only wear them during the hunting season, if you're bow hunting, this is, you should practice with gloves on in the off season. That's a big thing. Like getting used to that trigger or whatever your release is. Maybe you have a back tension release and you don't have to worry, or maybe you have a thumb one, whatever it is, you should practice. If you're going to be wearing gloves, practice shooting with those gloves on that you plan on wearing. That way there's no surprises. You don't get in your head a little bit while you're hunting and be like, oh, I haven't actually shot with these gloves on before. And you start questioning, can you tell that I've done that before? So that's kind of early season. Then I have layers. I have Cabela's Ultimate. It's a wool Berber fleece outer layer that I like. That's super quiet, heavy. I can wear this stuff down. I mean, when I layer it, that's all I need on the outer layer. I don't have like a big outer coat I really wear anymore while hunting. I just layer. And so after that, I'll put on a mid-weight merino wool, like quarter zip with the hood. After that, maybe a zip up fleece, grid fleece. And then the next layer, depending on temperature, would just be that big kind of Berber fleece wool coat and pants. With the pants, at most I go underwear and long underwear, and then maybe a lightweight pant, and then the outer layer pants. A lot of times I just do the outer layer and long underwear. That's most of the time. If it's really cold, then I'll put on a second layer or a normal pant over my long underwear. With the shirt, then if I go base layer, mid-weight quarter zip merino wool, and then maybe like a grid fleece zip up or quarter zip. And then I have the option to do a little puffy jacket and then the outer wool / Berber fleece outer layer, or I'll leave the puffy jacket and just go with depending on temperature, and then just go with the Berber fleece wool jacket. And then, gloves. I don't know. I use a hand warmer. I usually use thin gloves pretty much the whole time. I'll have a thin wool glove, and then a middleweight kind of, they're fingerless gloves, but I put those over those, and that's pretty much all I'll wear is that. That keeps my hands warm enough, especially with my hand warmers and some little chemical hand warmers inside that. and then I'm good to go. And then hat-wise, just a hat, standard winter hat, maybe camo, maybe not. Most of the time not, maybe just black, usually just black or gray or orange if I need blaze orange. And then I will wear a little neck warmer, a merino wool neck warmer that I can bring up over my nose if needed, especially if it's sunny. Or I'll throw on that little face mask thing I have too that I use in the early season. Boots, even early season around here, I still am typically wearing like a 400 gram thin slate boot around here in the Midwest. Sometimes I'll just wear my hiking shoes or a hiking boot. And then in the winter, I'll switch it up and I have some 1200 gram thin slate hunting boots that I wear. And then if it's really cold, I will put a boot cover once I'm out there at my location, put a boot cover over those. I'll even throw in a little chemical hand warmer if it's really cold and let that sit on top of my toes, on top of the boot, not inside the boot, but on top of the boot, inside the boot cover. And that keeps keeps it really nice and warm in there. Your toes don't get cold at all. Cheap way to do it too, versus heated battery powered insoles and all that stuff. I'm not super interested in battery powered things to keep you warm, although a vest would be nice. One of those battery powered vests that you can just turn the heat on every once in a while, keep your core nice and warm. That would be pretty. All right, I take it back. That would be the one thing I'd get. There you have it. That's today's FOQ. Stay tuned. Stay wild.
Thank you for sticking around. If you've enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a rating and review. Even one word, it helps a ton. Sincerely appreciate you guys. Thank you all, and we'll see you on the next one. Stay wild.
You've been listening to Untamed, Unbroken, a Lone Pine Adventures original podcast.